Welcome back to Space Engineers. And you see there's something missing from here? Like a ship, you know, we've got Brian, we've got Doug. Yeah. That's what I found when I came back from mining. And turns out that leaving a ship unpowered is probably a bad thing to do if it's a really simple ship, because it got trashed. I'm almost certain it got trashed. So if this happens to you, or even if it doesn't, you may want to go and press Alt F10 and change from Space Master mode. I did look in here to see if I could find it, but no, it wasn't around. Go to cleanup, and for the moment, trash action none. Okay, so we don't do anything on solo. I am perfectly fine to just make sure there's no trash myself. That's no problem. There are other settings you can change. If any of you want to actually comment on better settings than this, do let me know. But that's all I've done for the moment, and we'll see whether that works. Now, we've got some changes to this ship from last episode. I did mention that I was going to basically have an ejection system, and we do have an ejection system. So just around the back here, and someone did mention about battery orientation. Oh my. Battery orientation, the 90 degrees out. Oh, I'll correct them another time. I have to make more power cells if I want to correct them now, and we're still processing nickel and silicon, so yeah. Let's just get back to the more important parts about satisfying my particular need for symmetry, which doesn't help when you've got this kind of layout for your engines. But back here we've got a sorter. Okay, so the sorter is essentially saying any ice or any stone whitelisted. And then we've got all of these ejectors. Now these ejectors, let's just pop inside for a second. See them at the back. We've got 20 of them. And yes, I know one is rotated wrong. Gah! Anyway, and the conveyors behind them are rotated wrong. Never mind, we've got ejectors. If we pop into the options here, we can take a look, and the control panel in the ejectors, I've got throwout on, collect all on, and that will mean that as long as the sorter's on, as long as these are on, they'll throw out anything that we specify. So if we go down to our sorter, small conveyor sorter, you see I've got stone and ice here. Maybe we want ice, but I'll explicitly remove that if we do want ice or particular trip. The way this works, why don't we go and make sure I show you this. So if you look at my hotbar at the bottom, there is a number 6, which is the number 5. Number 5 is the sorters. You'll see they're white at the moment. It's not the sorters, the ejectors. If I press 5, you see they go red, so that's turn them off. So this won't remove stone. That's the easier way to get stone and ice. If you just need ice, you can now use it and just have ice in your cargo can, no problem. Or indeed, of course, stone, but that's less needed. So I can turn them back on if I want to. I've got thrusters on, drills off. So that means I can now press 6, and that will turn off my connector. Easiest way of getting away from a connector. Don't try and pull away. We can certainly unlock it. You know, that's one possibility, but there's no need. We can just turn the connector off itself, and then we can go and sort things out. So still, we only have one thruster in each direction, which means this is quite slow to start. But once it's going, we should be okay. I just wanted to head over to this uranium patch because it's the closest patch to where all this is. I think I'm probably going to put some more spotlights on the bottom. Those small corner lights are okay, but they aren't terribly amazing at at lighting up the ore beneath us, which is what we want. Now we have the uranium here, and I just want to double check underneath us. Let's just have a look. We've got our camera here. That can take a look. Oh, we got a bit of a darkness going on. Let's just exit that camera view, and it's light again-ish, but it is dark, I guess. I need some more spotlights pointing down. You can see there's uranium at the bottom of that hole, probably on this side, the side I'm on. So let's just rotate around, and so that we are aligned up on the horizon. There we go. And I'm just going to position sideways. I'm going to head down. I'm going to turn the drills on in right-click mode. Just hold down right-click while we're going down. This is going to clear the terrain. The only reason I want to show you this is just to show you how easy it is to get rid of stuff. So we've got to go down quite a bit before we get to uranium. I'll make sure I'm still on the horizon. Yes, let's just turn a little bit, and down we go. So this is really quite quick at clearing ores, or in this case rock, but that doesn't matter as much. It also helps when you actually do this, that if you head in one direction, it will just really help basically have enough clearance room behind you. And I want to make sure I'm still on the horizon and head down until we get to the layer of uranium. We're coming down towards it now. Again, the only downside of the vertical miner is that you're not exactly... Well, it's quite hard to see what layer we're on. That looks like we're about ready. Yeah, we are. So if we go on to the normal mining mode, this is regular left-click mining, but it's just on the hotbar. And if we head down, you'll see, hopefully by the glow of the various sparks there, that we're gathering uranium. So if we go into our inventory while that's working, you'll see we're getting the drills filling up. If we just filter out those, we can now see we're getting 11k stone and 9k uranium. Pretty good, but we don't need that stone, nor do we want it overall. Now, because I've already drilled one hole, I can just eject stuff in here. If I didn't, and this was just a single hole altogether, then there'd be a bit of a problem in that the drills would pick it up again. It would go back through the system, which is definitely not something that we want. So if we just head forwards, down a little bit, I think we've drilled through the uranium-ish. Yeah, we've just got to the bottom of it there, it looks like. And what you'll probably find as well is once the system is full, it won't really let you push downward anymore. So there we go. Let's assume we're full, because we want to get on with other things in the episode. So let's head up, and hopefully you can see everything now. Well, hopefully that's okay on screen. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Yep. So now I just turn on the ejectors, and let's just see how much stone we've got. 66,000 stone. 25,000 uranium. Will I get rid of all that stone? Easy. 5. Done. Oh no, nearly done. Now it's all done. 66,000 stone in about, what, 4 seconds? So having that ejector array is really, really useful when you actually want to go mining. So do consider that for your own vessels. And ejectors, I suppose you could also have a container, not a container, a connector. That would do the job as well behind that same sorting block, but in this case, this just gets rid of stuff an awful lot faster. Now, this connector is a little bit low. With a little bit of practice here, it turns out you need to get to around 5 meters on the hood to actually be at the right level for that, and that is just above the ice. So 6 meters here, down a little bit more, 5 meters, and we should be right on the money to line up for this. Let's just make sure we tilt properly. Yep, and head back in, hopefully. Yeah, see, 5 meters right there. And pull up a little bit. Press P. And the rest of this will now get pulled into our base. So we've got that sorter that pulls everything essentially. That's going to go down into our base, and you see these 2 new pieces here. So just to make sure that when I'm building up here at top, the easiest thing to do, it has some downsides, but we'll come back to the downsides in a second, is to put this conveyor sorter and to set it to whitelist components. And then we got a cargo container here that we can go into, and all of our components are here. Much, much easier to see. Hard for me to be blind and click on the wrong thing. And we can obviously access the production system as well. If you have a look further down our list, let's just filter out those. So it's unfortunately seeing the ejectors. If anyone knows a way of just removing just the ejectors, we can go to here and say, yeah, I've already hidden them from the terminal. Oh, actually, we can, yeah. Let's actually, that's easier than I thought. I was going to say, is there any way of hiding them from the inventory screen? Yep, you can just hide them. We may as well do that with the drills. Yeah, I mean, they still will have inventory in them, but we don't actually need to see it most of the time. And if the main cargo cam fills up, it'll start backfilling into the drills. But again, that shouldn't matter terribly unless you simultaneously fill up your main cargo can with ore, and then your drills can't get the stone into your cargo can, so they can't be ejected from the back. That's the only downside to that kind of system of having the drill set up like that. But it's fine. As you can see, we've got 55,000 silver. I went to find a silver patch. It's up on the top of a mountain, so there's no way I would have got up there with our little Doug rover. Instead, I just used this same ship. It's fully capable as a scout. There's no real problems with it. So we got plenty of silver, which means I have enough reactor components to rebuild the reactor in the base, which we've done off camera. And now, of course, we have uranium by a lot. And we've got iron, huge amounts. Well, at least for this stage in the game. Cobalt, we've not got a huge amount yet, so I'm probably going to go and get some more cobalt. Silicon, I think we've processed, yeah, we've processed 20k of it. That's good. And nickel, we've processed nearly 10k of it. So plenty of bits and pieces. There are a few things that should either be rare or non-existent down here. One of them is platinum. I don't think it's on planets. We're getting it from meteors a little bit. And gold should be down here, I think. I want to say I think. But I haven't found any of it yet. Now, this isn't terribly fast as a scout ship. Okay, Doug's actually much faster, but Doug can't take it off. Should we put thrusters? No, we're not putting thrusters on Doug. However, this is okay to scout. I've not scouted the rest of these hills. The silver is right over there, on top of that hill. Yeah, so it's really inaccessible by a rover. But I think I'll check the top of these hills as well. I want to see if I can find gold up there somewhere. No gold in these hills somewhere. That'd be nice. But I haven't found it yet. So let me go and find some more of that. And then maybe I'll have to rebuild that craft later. That one that can recharge things and move ore out of that station. I think I've settled on a vertical miner. I think those of you who commented on vertical miners have won me over compared to these static stations. These static stations are simpler to set up, but without stuff like... To get them working really, really well, you'd have to have a sort of two-ship approach, I guess. One with a blueprint projector. We've not gone to a projector yet, but it allows you to take a snapshot copy of something like, say, this station, project it into free space. It just sort of shows up like a hologram, like Star Wars, and then you come along with a welding ship, and that will actually create the thing. So that may be a possibility, but yeah, this is much, much, much nicer. Other people saying, I'm glad to see that I'm good at creating stuff that's utilitarian, but not beautiful at all. Absolutely, I agree. We could put a lot more armor blocks and shape them nicely on this. Again, if you want to see a recommendation for something like that, I think it's called the Octopus on the Steam Workshop. Something along those lines. It's really beautiful. It's yellow, basically, with armor blocks everywhere. It looks perfectly rectangular and, well, squarish edges. Works well. This is a sort of utilitarian version of the same. Lighter, obviously, because less armor blocks, and I do prefer lighter where possible, particularly this early in the game where you don't have hydrogen thrusters, or indeed you aren't in space where you can just use impulse thrusters. It's just nice to be able to save weight wherever possible. I did also get some comments saying you only really need 3 here. Yeah, I've just put up to 6 in case we add more cargo capacity. I don't know what the limits are as far as cargo is concerned. And if we put a large cargo can in there, it just means that I have more room for, you know, expansion on this design later. Okay, onward to mining. Alright, still haven't found gold. I went out and found a bunch of other stuff. Still no other silver, by the way. Only the 1 silver node. And I'm out of budgeted time for mining for this episode. I only allow myself a certain amount of time, otherwise I'll be there forever. So what we're going to actually do is, and the reason why I wanted gold is you need gold for thruster components and gravity components, but as importantly, you need them for ion thrusters. That's where the thruster components come from. So we don't exactly have enough for ion thrusters. We can, however, make hydrogen thrusters. So what I figured we'd make is a flying brick. Yes, I know. There are better ways to call it, but it is essentially a flying brick. So what we should probably do is just get a few bits and pieces. Let's start with a landing gear. And this is the other thing that got trashed, because this is essentially unpowered as well. So let me just change size. Give me a small landing gear. There we go. And let's go and put it off this side somewhere. That will do for now. And by flying brick, what I'm essentially going... Oh, I prefer the old system where you can choose just small landing gear. Anyway, what I mean by flying brick is a cargo can, okay? And we can use our sort of inventory system down here to build ourselves a flying cargo can. And that cargo can is really there for us to just get out into space. Now, with atmospheric thrusters, we can get fairly high in the atmosphere. That allows it to be quite efficient, but that's where we want to go. The platinum's up there, and there's probably gold up there as well. There should be gold down here on the planet, but just not platinum. Platinum lets us get the ion thrusters as well, I think, if I remember rightly. In any case, what we need for that is obviously a cargo can itself, whatever size we choose. We need some small atmospheric thrusters to get fairly high, and then we want to take over with hydrogen thrusters. Now, what I used to do with this is have like a single large hydrogen thruster below the cargo can. And that might still work. It depends on just how much hydrogen this thing takes up. And I did get a few people saying, hey, you shouldn't use the tank for hydrogen, just use the converters, which are really quite fast. What I don't know is if they can keep ahead of my thruster usage. So let's get something on the go, and we shall see where we get to. So cargo can, we probably want, do we have any, let's just see what size we've got. Large cargo can, maybe even a bit medium actually, because we're going to be taking stuff up there, and it's going to be parts probably, not ores, because up there we're going to build stuff that we need to build, you know, a refinery or something along those lines, and we can come back down here at our leisure. So what do we want for that? We probably want to be able to dock to that connector over there, or a different connector, so we probably want to put that at the top, which means I'm going to want to put this on this side. And that does mean, of course, that the ports should be accessible. Let me just grab displays, motors, computers, construction components, and it's all available here, so that is cool. Displays, computers, construction components, and what else was it? Motors. I may need to build more motors. Yes, quite a lot more motors. Let's actually get them started while I'm building. So both of the small ports are available here for me to build on, and we're just using a side point for the others. So probably a connector at the top. Lets us load up. Now, while I'm doing this, we've got lots of ore being produced. Well, not produced. Lots of ore being refined downstairs. We've only got one refinery, remember. Now, we could build more, but to be honest, I think probably want to scale up once we're in space. As you might imagine, space engineers. What did I actually want there? Is it small steel tubes? Yeah. So once we're in space, we can then scale up quite a bit more, or maybe make a base down here. I'm not quite sure just at the moment. There's a lot of ore available down here, so we can always come and mine it with our vertical miner or otherwise. But we do need a transport, and this is going to be our first transport. It's going to be terrible. I'm not claiming it to be otherwise, but it should get us going. That means we're probably going to want a cockpit. And again, we'll use the boxy version because there's no real need to use any other version than that for these starter ships. We don't need a fighter just yet. We're not going to need access to the... Ooh, actually, this is going to be a spacecraft, not an atmospheric craft. So we may need access to the rear. What do we have underneath? We have one underneath, one at the front. You know what? We can just go via the front, so that's fine. Let's face it this way. Okay, and that's the basis of our craft. We don't need the bulletproof glass, strictly speaking, so that is just fine. Now we just need to put thrusters on for each cardinal direction, as you might expect normally. Some gyroscopes. I think I'll build some of those into the back, and we need at least enough atmospheric thrusters to get us up and out of the atmosphere. Now, what we could do is save on those. We could have atmospheric thrusters just pointing up, and have the rest of the directions controlled by hydrogen thrusters, because they won't be used much of the time. only the atmospheric thrusters will be used when we're in atmosphere. Otherwise, they're pretty much wasted. All right, so let's give that a go, and let's see how well that does in practice. Thrusters. So let's just add hydrogen thrusters to my bar and atmospheric thrusters to my bar. What do you need? You need steel plate. I should have plenty of you. There we go. So atmospheric thrusters, we're going to need up thrusters only. Not sure how many we're going to need, but let's assume 4, shall we? And then the rest, I think I'll try and fill in with hydrogen thrusters, and we'll see where that takes us. So metal grids, small, large steel tubes. Fair enough. Metal grids, small, large steel tubes. Where are my tubes? Here. There we go. And we'll get 4 of those on the go. Now we could use just batteries on this, or we could use radiators, and that's where I've run out of motors. We will have room on the back for a reactor if we wanted one, and we'd fill in all the thrusters around the left and right sides. No harm either way. Haven't decided, but we do have the silver to make it, so yeah, that's a good option. I'm going to fill in some of the rest, because obviously you've seen me do this on a few crafts already, and we'll come back for getting towards the end of the build and see if it flies, and see if it transports stuff that we want it to transport. Oh, here we are, partway through the build. So just to show you before I fill in the rest of this, I've got a conveyor system here. It needs to feed into the thrusters. I think they need access to the full conveyor system, so we'll have to have them connected. So they're using the cargo cans there for up and down, both sides, same. Left and right, we've got both sides coming off the connector, and forward and back, we've got 3 hydrogen thrusters, smalls, front and back, to give us a bit of more positive control. Then we've got our up thrusters to hopefully get us, well, up to and out of the atmosphere. The alternative there, by the way, is this is just a cargo can. I can just build straight out from here and put large thrusters on it. There's no problem with doing that whatsoever. But because it's quite a small craft, you know, and we're going to put components in here, not necessarily ores, it shouldn't ever really get that full. This should supply oxygen into our cabin, hopefully. On the underside, I've got a hydrogen O2 H2 generator. Hope we only need 1. If we need more than 1, then we can always put another one here. I was just hoping to reserve this for the battery. And let's just put that in place. And let's hope we only need 1 of those. This is not too expensive at this stage to actually do this craft. So, you know, should the worst come to the worst and we die horribly, then, you know, we can always come back and build another one a little bit better. Let's just actually get a couple of power cells on the go. Well, a couple of, yeah, 20. That'll do for that. Behind, we've got the reactor, of course, and that needs to be... oh, that's 1 off. Oh, yeah, I need to just rebuild that for a second. There we go. Ah, I hate it when that happens. Reactor. Let's grab the reactor and let's put it there. We want to make sure it's got ports on the side with this one, I think. Or can we actually get connected to the top? We can probably get to the top. So if we just... interesting though, that's right below the thrusters. Yeah, that won't connect. So we're going to have to go via the sides. It's no problem. And then we'll just go via the usual kind of method there. We're going to connect it to this. Let's rotate that around. And we'll do this on both sides, of course, but this should leave me some room for the generators. Sorry, the generators, the gyros. And then we'll just do the same thing like that there, and fill this in with a tube. And that should allow us connection to the reactor, which need some reactor components. I think I've got those on build already. If they're not already done, they should be not too far away. 86. Yeah, we'll need a few more than that, but that is absolutely fine. And if, of course, we need to deconstruct this thing when we're in orbit, that will give us those components back. Where are you through production? I want more reactor components. So detector, reactor. Let's just make 20 more of those. We've got enough silver to do that. Got those power cells now, so we should be able to bring this up, and that should turn this whole thing live. Yeah, there we go. So we've got our O2 generator, we've got our H2 generator, we've got access to this. That is not live at the moment, just needs more construction components and reactor components. Let's get those finished. That should be all of those. There we go. Why are you not live yet? They should be power to the ship, so routes should go through there. Oh, did I build this in the wrong orientation? Yeah, I did. I was hoping to get it through the top. Never mind. What's left? It's just some steel plates. Will you go into my inventory? No. Oh well. Put that reactor back. That's on number 5 key already. And make sure it's the correct orientation this time. There we go. Wall that back up. That should go green. It has. It needs uranium, of course, and that's what's what needs to go in there next. Then, what do we need for all of you thrusters? Just lots of construction components, steel plates, it looks like. I'll weld the rest up, put a couple of gyros in, and we should be ready for a quick test. Okay, here we are sitting in our craft as normal. We have, well, let's just see how much fuel we have. If we just go to V for a second, you'll see I've got my landing gear still locked on the floor. If I press the press the space bar,
ship fuel low.
7 minutes when I'm thrusting in one direction. Yep, ship fuel low. I have no tank for it to go into, so we either need to produce enough on the fly, or we may need a tank. So let's just quickly check what a tank will do for us. Let's just see if that all fits. So let's see what a tank does. Oxygen tank, hydrogen tank, small ship. It's just a hydrogen, I assume. Let's just see. Let's give this a try. How big are you on a small ship? You're gigantic. That's horrible. Okay, so if we, oh well, that's, and we can't pass through this, the bottom of, well, maybe. Can we actually pass through the bottom of that, that to produce more? Not sure if ice needs to go through a large, I assume it doesn't. So if it doesn't, then we just need a generator again, and let's see if that will be able to produce enough to just keep us going. Or if it's a limitation on the amount of ice that I've put in here. And are you going to behave? Probably not. Oh, I need steel plate, that's why. I've just abandoned all my construction components in here. Let's just get bits and pieces of everything. I'm sure it needs most of the stuff. Will you let me connect to you here? There we go. And turn. And then if I just go for a couple of junctions down here, number 9. We want a small conveyor. Well, we can even just go with a tube. Curved tube, that is. Oh, interior plate. Okay, fine. Interior plate it is. It's one thing I didn't pick up. Let me just get rid of some of those for some interior plate instead. Okay, and we've got to turn it around on this side. Three computers. All right, now does that present a working solution? Does that actually change the amount? Because we've got 10,000 ice in here. If I think I've put in there 9.98k. Okay, so it depends how much ice we use, how quickly. That's still 7 minutes, but I guess it's time to actually just disconnect from this and then try this out. So first of all, we want some uranium, so let's go and get some of that. I'm not going to load this up with components this episode. I will do that next episode, but I do want to actually test fly this thing. So let me just get rid of all of you, and I'll take some uranium from the reactor. Small reactor. Yeah, let's say 20. We should have plenty. It's just queued up in the cargo can back here somewhere. Yeah, refinery. It's queued right there. We can change it forward in the list, but Doesn't much matter for the moment. So we got uranium, we got everything we need to fly, I think. Other than maybe not enough ice. But that's part of the testing as well. Alright, let's give this a go. Let's put the uranium in place. The reactor should be available. Yep, there it is. And time to take this thing for a test flight. Okay, so I've disconnected this. No problem. It's sitting here, but it's using both the hydrogen and the atmospheric thrusters. We don't necessarily want that. So let's just go into the, not the G menu, the K menu in my case, and let's just sort of group everything together. We want to get the Atmos together, so let's just call them Atmos thrusters. And we're going to get the hydrogen thrusters as well, and we'll group all of those together. Hydro thrusters. Okay, and that is pretty much on the money, I think. We don't need to change anything else. So we'll go into the G menu, go into groups, and let's put the hydro thrusters here. Toggle block on or off. And same thing with the Atmos thrusters, toggle block on or off. So first of all, we need to get going. Let's give that a go. All right, so up we go, and we're using both of them at the moment. So now I'm going to switch off the hydrogen thrusters, and let's see if we still continue up. We are, which is a good sign. If I didn't have enough Atmos thrusters, then that would be a problem, but it isn't. Now this thing does not have a beacon on it, so I'm not going to leave this alone anywhere. I'm going to have to bring it back down with me, but this will let me scout out various locations. I've not put an ore detector on it. This is literally just a test flight, so we're not going to do that for very much longer. Now, at some point, it's going to really start having problems. For one, I do not have any other direction of thrusters than up. This is literally just to get us up towards the edge of space, and then we can worry about the hydro thrusters. So you can see already my speed is starting to decrease, despite the fact I've got my finger on the space bar. So at some point that's going to slow down to the point where the atmospheric thrusters are not going to be able to do any more, and we're going to need to use hydro thrusters. But you can see already that we are pretty high. You know, our lake is down there, and we're 6,000. Oh, it's starting to struggle. So time to turn on the hydro thrusters. And you see we're starting to accelerate again, and we can turn off the atmospheric thrusters at this point. Maybe. Let's just continue to use them. Have both. At some point we should be able to just take over the hydro thrusters, but let's try it now. Nope, still not. We'll leave them on. And you can see we're coming out of the atmosphere now. Beautiful sunset or sunrise, whichever one that is. We'll see it soon enough. Coming up to 9,000 meters, and let's try it without. Yep, it's now fine at 9,000 meters. And if we ever wanted to take over early, well, we could just point straight up and blast forward. So now we've got 3 really quite wonderful hydro thrusters taking us away from the planet. Cool? I think so. I guess now the main problem is how much fuel do we have? Easiest way to look at that is to just look in here into our inventory, and at this point I normally find out I have no ice. So that's 7.4 and dropping quickly. I only gave us 10k to start off with, so I think we're definitely going to need, in next episode that is, we're definitely going to need more fuel. This thing has more than enough space for it, by the way. If we have a look in the space in the generator, that's got 10,000 litres, 7k is a quarter, so that'll take 28k, and there is another one as well, and they will pass through just fine, so that will be like 50k of ice that we can load up in here quite easily to get us a lot of fuel. Now, normally at this point I would pretty much, let's turn off the dampeners. Normally at this point I would then be using iron thrusters up here, but remember we need platinum. So what I'm going to do is maybe carry stuff up here to sort of craft a minimum base. And if we can do that, then we can start to build up here and sort of maybe have an asteroid up here that has a sort of our starting base. And from that, we can then expand outwards and hopefully find platinum. And from platinum, we can then start to build proper spaceships. Still hydro thrusters, they're still worthwhile doing, particularly to accelerate forwards. but backward, so braking as well. But for small maneuvering, you don't necessarily need them if you have enough ion thrusters. They just don't tend to be very strong. That's the only downside to ion thrusters. Our dampeners are off, so we're really not consuming fuel, but you don't really need to until you get close because, unfortunately, Space Engineers has a speed limit. You can get mods to remove that speed limit. It's 104 meters per second, but we should be able to slow down, hopefully. I guess it's probably best that we try slowing down, and let's see if the system, let's see if our thrusters can actually do it. Let's turn that on. So we are braking, and we're braking quite effectively. So that'll bring us down to, in fact, it'll bring us all the way to a stop. So we can turn that off, and we've got a little tiny rectangular little shuttle bus thing that will get us up into orbit. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We got a craft ready to go into space. Our next episode will probably be going into space, so leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger for what we do next. If you've got suggestions for what you want to see in space, then do let me know in the comments below. Feel free to like, subscribe, share as normal, and of course we'll see you next time in Space Engineers. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.